We'll be solving the problem regional score. So in this problem, we are given a 10 plus 10 map of land, and it is divided into five concentric regions, where each region carries a different worth. So the outermost region is of worth 1 point, the next region is of worth 2 points, the middle region is of worth 3 points, the second innermost is of 4, while the center is of 5. So in this question, we need to calculate the total score for those locations based on which region they fall into. The input format is the first line of the input consists of integer t, which is the number of the test cases, and each test case consists of 10 lines, each line containing 10 characters. Each character in the grid is either x, which represents a marked location, or a dot representing an unmarked location. So here, for the sample input, 10 lines are given. Each line contains either an X or a dot. The X represents the marked location while the dot represents unmarked location. So in this question, we need to find where in the region X falls into, and then we have to calculate the total score and give it as an output. So let me explain you the sample test case. So for the sample test case, I have made a grid where the red represents the region having 1 point, yellow represents region having 2 points, orange having 3, light green having 4, and the dark green having 5. So the outermost region has three x's and each carries 1 point. So we will take 3 into 1. The yellow region has no x's, so there is no value. While the orange region has two x's and the orange region carries 3 points worth, so we will take 2 into 3. The light green region has two x's and the light green region carries 4 points. So we will take 2 into 4. The dark green region has 5 points, but there are no x's, so no points. So we will add all of these and we will calculate the score, which comes out to be 17. So we will output the value 17. Now let's take a look at the code. The code will be in Java. So there are three approaches to the problem. The first approach is to have a hard-coded score matrix where we will give the values such as the outermost region will have value 1, the second innermost will have 2, then 3, 4, 5 similarly. So we will give the score matrix and then we will have a main method where we will take in the input using the scanner class. Then we will loop through all the test cases. We will declare total score and initialize it to 0. Then we will using the two for loops to go through the entire line and we will check if the character at that particular line is equal to an x. And if it is equal to an x, then we will see what is the value in the score matrix at that particular row and column, which is I and j. The score matrix ij represents the value of that particular x in the line. So we will add it to the total score and then we will give it as an output on a new line. So this is the approach one, having a hard coded matrix where we will give the values 1, 2, 3, 4 at that particular row and column, and we have to just go through the lines in the input. So for the approaches 2 and 3, let me explain you. For the approach 2, we will calculating the distance from the center. So we all know that the rows in the column range from 0 to 9. So for calculating the center, we will using the formula min index plus max index is equal to 0 plus 9 that by 2, which is equal to 4 by 5, 4.5. So the center becomes 4.5, 4.5. So how does it determine the region? So I minus 4.5 determines the distance from the center row. J minus 4.5 determines the distance from the center column. Then we will take the max value. We will need to find the farthest distance from the center. So for example, let's take 2 comma 7 grid, which is this 3. And for example, 2 comma 7 is taken. 2 minus 4.5 gives 2.5. 7 minus 4.5 also gives 2.5. We will taking the abstract value. We will ignoring the negative sign. Then we will take the max of these values, which gives 2.5. Then we will subtract it from 5 because we need to convert the distance into the score. So the grid having x, which is nearest to the center, will have 0. So 5 minus 0 becomes 5. but the grid at the outermost region will have will have 4. So 5 minus 4 becomes 1. So that is why we need to convert distance into the score. So we will subtract it from 5. So 5 minus 2.5 becomes 3. So here similarly in the code the same thing is done. We will loop through the entire lines, and then we will, using the abstract value, we will do I minus 4.5 and j minus 4.5 and see which of them is maximum. And then for converting the distance into the score, we will subtract it from 5 while converting the distance into an integer value, and then we will add it to the total score. So for approach 3, we will be using a function to determine the region. So here in the approach 2, we calculated the distance from the center. Here we are reversing it. We are calculating the distance from the border. So here in the approach, instead of calculating from the center, we determine the region of a cell which is closest to the border. So here we will be doing min dist is equal to minimum of, then inside the brackets we are taking the minimum of I comma 9 minus 1 because 9 is the last value of the row, and similarly minimum of j comma j 9 minus j, and then we will take the minimum values of those, and then we will have to convert the distance into score, we will use min dist plus 1 because the grid at the outermost region will have a min dist of 0 because it is closest to the border. So adding 1 to it helps us converting it to the score. So here, for example, 2 comma 7 is taken. As we know, the value is 3. So distance from the top becomes 2, I is equal to 2. Then distance from the bottom becomes 9 minus I equal to 9 minus 2 equal to 7. From the left, j equal to 7. From the right, 9 minus 7 equal to 2. Then we will take the minimum distance, and then after calculating the minimum we get 2. So converting the distance into score, we need to add 1, with 2 plus 1 equal to 3, and so it is 2. So let's take a look at the code. So here we will loop through the entire lines and we will check if it is equal to an x. Then if it is equal to an x, we will call the function getScore and pass the values I and x as parameters. For the getScore function, we are using the minDist integer, and then it will take the minimum value of x 9 minus x and y 9 minus y. And then we will return the value minDist plus 1 and we will print it and get the value.